Hello, everybody, and welcome on into the Between the Lines Sports Show here. As always, I am your fantastic host, Daniel Coletta, alongside here with my fantastic co-host, Xavier, or X, as we call him here in the sports world. X, how we doing today? Are you ready for a good show? I know we're still obviously getting used to doing things here live, but I mean, I'm ready for a good show, and as should you be.
What's going on, brother? My bad. I forgot my mic was muted. Another show, man. It's kind of weird because we did have O here, but I don't know what the heck happened to him. So
Yeah,
hopefully he jumps back in here. But yeah, I'm ready. Let's go. Let's do it.
I'm ready for
get
it.
going.
We're ready to have a good show. I mean, we got a lot to talk about. Obviously, the number one thing we'll go over here. It is a Wednesday here, and even though it is the Wednesday, we can recap the national championship for college basketball. Just a few days ago, obviously, you had the number one overall Michigan Wolverines, and then you had the number two Connecticut Huskies. And it was a great game. I really thought that, me personally, I had UConn winning it. I wanted UConn to win. I actually placed a bet for UConn money line. And
Did you really?
yeah, I did. And
Why?
I believe it. Because it's not that I don't like Michigan in the sense that, like, it's Michigan. Like, if I'm going to cheer for one team in Michigan, it's Michigan State. I thought it was a great game, Michigan overall. I mean, first of all, let's talk about that. I mean, you talk about the number one thing on the board, and that is Michigan with 5 transfer players in their starting 5 to win the national championship. So we talk about it here in a great performance out of Elliot Cadeau. He led all scorers. He had 19 points. And then on the other side of things, you had UConn got into foul trouble early. Silas Demery had 2 quick fouls. Solo Ball had 2 quick fouls. But overall, Axel Lendeborg, I know he was playing on a bad leg, but Michigan, they were just the dominant team in the second half. And it was a close one. It was a 4-point game at halftime, I believe. It was 33-29. But overall, at the end, Michigan gets the victory and it wins 69-63. So to those of you who had the spread, UConn did cover. So that was a great sign for the bettors, and that was, I believe, a 7.5-point spread. But overall, I'll ask you, what did you think of the game, and did you like that national championship? And we'll talk a little bit more about it here in a few minutes. But overall, what does it mean for next season, and do you think Michigan has a shot at going back-to-back?
Did you say O?
Did I say O? I did say
O.
O. Yes, I did. Now that thinking about it, yeah, that was just
No. Well, first of all, I'm gonna say this. I wasn't really sure like about the game. Like I was like, oh, Michigan's gonna win. Like I no faith at all in the Huskies. I know they've been there for what, like 4 or 5 times in the past like 8 years or something like that.
yeah.
So I mean, I know they've been there, done that. I know that they experienced, but Michigan is just the way they absolutely dominated the game before against Arizona State.
Arizona. Yeah, no, that game against Arizona, they completely surprised everyone. Everyone said it was supposed to be one of the most anticipated matchups of this decade, people were saying. And I thought that it'd be a lot closer. Michigan just said, we're the better team by a long shot. And now we talk about this point of view, like, we were in the conversation, and he's still going to go down as one of the greatest coaches of all time. Dan Hurley, if he would have won his 3rd title in 4 years, then you have to start putting him in that stratosphere of, like, he's with the Coach K's of the world and Tom Izzo. Yes, he has 1 championship, but you know how legendary of a coach he is for Michigan State. But we got to give some props to Dusty May because he doesn't get enough credit for the squad that he assembled for the Wolverines. And he got Cadeau from North Carolina. He got Lendeborg from UAB. You go out and get Ade Mara, who had a monster game against Arizona, and he had a decent game in the national championship game, but he, 7-foot-tall Spaniard, as everyone would call him, he had a great, phenomenal game. And he came over from UCLA. Yes, UCLA. And just overall, you got Merez Johnson, former Illini product. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I thought it was a fairly even game. I just think that UConn had to make a little bit more of their shots later on in the second half, and obviously they weren't going to drop, but they had the opportunity to, and unfortunately, they just squandered it at the last moment. I know they had a late comeback bid, but it was a fun game to watch, and I mean, I definitely think it was one of the better national championships we've seen here in the last couple of years, and you would agree on that, you would say.
Oh, definitely. In the last half, I believe it was like 3 minutes. UConn had a chance to bring it down to 4 points. I remember the series. They stole the ball, they came down, and then they missed it, and then basically Michigan went back and just dropped a 3-pointer, step back 3-pointer. And honestly, if that 3-pointer didn't happen, I honestly think the Huskies would have tied the game. And it came down to the last 2 minutes. Obviously, the score says other. It was only a 4-point win, but I mean, nonetheless, it did get. I mean, that's why I do like watching championship basketball for national championship, because when it comes down to the wire. I know it may not look like that, but I mean it did. I mean, you watched the game, so you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Right. Yeah, no, it was fantastic. It
was entertaining. I do. I mean, last week we talked about Illinois. I do wish Illinois was in it, but I mean, honestly, I think Michigan was just a better team overall, and I think Michigan would have took it in general, even if Illinois, our home state, was in it.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you have to look at it as like UConn played the better game against Illinois. And as much as I wanted Illinois to win, I thought their size was going to be very dominant, but UConn found a way to win. And something about Dan Hurley when he plays Illinois, he just seems to have the upper edge. And obviously, well, like you just mentioned, if they would have played, Illinois would have played Michigan, I think it would have been, regardless, I think Illinois probably would have lost that game. They actually played earlier this year, and I think, well, Michigan did win that game. It's just a matter of, for me, when I look back at it, Michigan just had the most dominant team. And I think Duke, even if Duke was in that position, like if they would have played Illinois, I think Duke would have had a better shot of beating Michigan, because Duke was the best team in the country, in my opinion, all year. And they beat Michigan earlier in the season when they played. But Alex Caravan, I mean, I know it's not the way you want to go out, the senior for Connecticut. I mean, he played all 4 years, got 2 national titles, and he ended with 17 points. But overall, right, I mean, not many people can get to the March Madness tournament to start. So, I mean, at the end of it, it's not the end of the world. I mean, I'm going to go back here and reference the game. I'm trying to look. Yeah, Michigan played Illinois earlier this year in February, at the end of February, and Michigan won that game 84-70. So I think realistically, who knows? National championship game, if Illinois is in it, it's a whole different ball game. But overall, congrats to the Wolverines. I got to give them their credit, because they played as the most dominant team during this tournament. They won all of their, I believe they won almost, other than the national championship game, they won all their games by double digits. They were just dominant. And they showed everyone why, that they're the champs of the dance.
I mean, they proved that going in each game, absolutely playing dominant on each end of the floor. I mean, they proved it right there. I do think, I mean, we know that they were the better team overall, but with Dan Hurley has that team always ready to play no matter what. I mean, you've seen it.
Absolutely. At Dan Hurley, I mean, he's going to go down as
the experience
coaches ever, and shout out to that. So shout out UConn. We know UConn will be back. We know that Michigan, I believe they're going to be back, even with a lot of roster changes next year. Like, they still are going to be a good team. And mind you, 2 years ago, Michigan was 9-24 under Juwan Howard before they fired him. So in 2 years, turning that team around and winning the national championship, it's their first title, since 1989. So shout out them. I know they made it 2018 against Villanova, and they lost that one, but it's a huge shout out to them. And we obviously look forward to seeing them next season. Now we transition with that to the FanDuel betting odds. Next year's champion, and I'm going to try to remove this banner here so I can show the bottom of that with Purdue and Illinois. But next year's men's champion, they have as the favorite right now coming in. You got Duke as the plus 700 favorite, followed by the defending champion Wolverines at plus 800. Now, we look at this list and we see, X, that there are couple teams on this list that stand out. Connecticut, obviously, the runner-ups at plus 1,600. You have Arkansas at 2,000, Illinois at 2,000. So I'm going to ask you this, and the biggest question mark on that list, I know obviously this is presented in the FanDuel next year's men's champion odds. Now, unfortunately, I hate to say it because I had Duke winning in my bracket, and Duke has somehow found a way to choke every single year that they've been on.
I love it.
In the tournament. I mean, I don't know how they blew that game to UConn. That's just inexcusable. But the biggest thing is we look at this list.
Yeah.
Who do you think is going to be next year's NCAA March Madness champion?
Well, I mean, first looking into this list is actually kind of interesting. I mean, Purdue being so low. I mean, I'm surprised at that. St. John's had a really good run. I'm surprised they're actually very low as well. I'm not too
They
high
did
into.
that. Listen, they were up double digits on Duke. You have to remember before Duke came back.
Yeah, but where were St. John's 2-3 years ago, right?
Yeah, St.
Uh,
John's. I mean, Rick Pitino has turned around that program.
exactly. Also, Gonzaga. I do Gonzaga.
They
Gonzaga's been
broke.
known for what?
They
For what?
broke. They
10
broke my
seasons?
heart. They
10
broke my
years in a row,
heart.
man. They just can't win. I'm surprised they're very high. Also someone who supports, obviously we're a Chicago-based show, excuse me. Um Illinois, I think, is ranked. I'm surprised they're ranked kind of low. But that's also depending on who comes back next year, obviously. I like Illinois. I think Illinois every year seems like they're getting better. I'm not sure if that means they'll be in the championship next year. I'd like that. I think Michigan. I think realistically speaking, if we're gonna just like look at this list right here, I think it makes sense. I wouldn't put Duke so high. I think I'll put Michigan and Arizona, and then followed by maybe Houston. I like that.
Yeah. No, I like that a lot. I mean, the only thing, like you said, we question the ability of Illinois, how they're going to perform next season. I think they're still going to be a pristine program. Brad Underwood does a great job with that, and recruiting in Europe has been his big thing the last couple of years.
Yep.
Obviously, the Ivasic brothers. You have Peja Stojakovic's son. He was fantastic this year off the bench. You take a look at some of the other guys. Did I mention Mirkovic? I think I did, but he's been a phenomenal player. And I know he didn't have the greatest game against UConn, but at the same time, they have the talent, and obviously they're going to be one of the best teams in the Big Ten. We talk about the Big Ten teams that are obviously very, very good. You had Michigan, Michigan State, Illinois, Wisconsin was in that conversation for a while. Purdue obviously lost Braden Smith. He was a senior, but there's a handful of guys that make up their teams, and I know obviously losing them is going to be big, but I mean, I know Brad Underwood's going to probably turn it around, or not really turn it around, just add on to what he already had as a premier program.
Agreed.
I think that they could probably be ahead, in my opinion, of Kansas. I mean, because I don't know how Kansas is going to be next season. And Houston, that's what I don't like, because we have had the number, as Illinois has had their number against Houston the last few seasons, and they tend to be lower than them in each one. But I guess for betting odds to win the national championship, I can understand maybe where that's coming from.
I will say Houston the past 3-4 seasons, they've gotten better every single season. But I think sooner or later it's like you keep reaching that point and you can't cross that spectrum. I just don't think sooner or later it's like you're gonna fall short. I mean, your window's only open for so long, so I don't really know how Houston's gonna do. I don't really know much about their program as well. I just remember they're pretty dang good for the past 4 or 5 seasons.
Yeah, no, I mean, I give credit where credit's due. I know Houston, one of their biggest losses was to Arizona, and Arizona was a phenomenal program this year too. They were number 1 in basketball for a long time, and they obviously have a great program. And Tommy Lloyd just re-signed with, and obviously there was a lot of speculation of him going to UNC, but he chose to stay in the desert, and he's staying in Tucson. And I mean, that Arizona program is going to be very good for the foreseeable future. Obviously, they have LeBron's son, who's a freshman, his other son, Bryce. So who knows if he comes out and flourishes next year. But, I mean, they have a talented program, and I think that we're going to see it with these teams next year. This whole list is a phenomenal list. They're all perennial powerhouse programs in the country. So you can't say anything bad about any one of them. They all have the ability to go win. And, I mean, I would be excited to see Illinois win one, because again, you're two wins from the national championship this year, if you think about that. But I'm excited. So obviously you guys go to pcsn.com and you go to all of our socials. You can let us know who you think is going to be the men's national championship for college basketball next season. But we'll transition on over now to the baseball side of things, because we have a handful to talk about with a couple of these teams. And X, I'm going to start with you, because I know as Southsiders, we're going to just talk about one of the biggest things, and that is the Sox, because they obviously are coming off a huge, devastating loss yesterday. Obviously, they went up 2-0. They ended up losing 4-2 to Baltimore. But I ask you this, what do the Sox have to do to right the ship and get a win today?
I mean, I think it's obvious. Burke is gonna have to start. I mean, he has a 3.660 ERA. So I mean, obviously, if you can get him in a good 5-6 solid innings, I think you have a chance of winning this game right here. I mean, he has a better ERA than what is it? What's the name? Bradish.
But yeah, it's Bradish. Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, if you can just stay consistent with your pitching, obviously, our bullpen is the biggest problem for the Chicago White Sox as of right now. I think the hitting will come. It's obviously April now, and it's still chilly outside. So, but I mean, it's gonna be like almost 70 degrees today. So maybe the ball will sling a little bit more. Obviously, right now Baltimore has the better hand compared to the Sox. But I mean, Baltimore's what 5-6 compared to 4-7 for the White Sox. So I mean, the Sox are right there. It's just the pitching that's the problem for the White Sox. You need to pitch right, and your hitting will follow behind.
For one of the things like we talked about, like before the season was about to begin on opening day, we said that this team has an opportunity to become a power, not like a powerhouse, but like they have an opportunity to make a playoff push. Now, I know we're very young into the season, and 4-7 is not exactly the greatest start you want to have to the season. There are other teams that are a lot worse right now. But we talk about the bullpen, and today's starting lineup, you're going to have Mydroth leading off, followed by Murakami, Vargas at the DH. You're going to have Colson Montgomery, Andrew Benintendi. You have Harris playing right field, and then Luis Angel Acuna at short, followed by Reese McGuire catching, and Tristan Peters in center field. So that's a line. That's a good lineup. And I believe the Sox can come out and they can right the ship and even up the series at 1 apiece with Baltimore. I know that they have a handful of guys who can go out there and hit, and we've seen it. But overall, so far, the best hitter on the year is Mydroth, and he's batting .270.
And that's surprising because honestly, I thought, and I still think, at the end of the year, Montgomery's going to be the second, or if not the top hitter for the Chicago White Sox. I think he has a lot of play right there with him. And last year, he played fantastic. I think he's going to have a lot to build off from last year. And it's baseball. It's a marathon. So I'm not really worried about him. But I do think his bat's going to get hot very soon. And then obviously we have Murakami. And Murakami's 4 home runs already this season. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe we can get a third one, a 5th one for today.
Right.
Bring us a win.
Oh, couple of highlights from yesterday here, from yesterday's game. Obviously, you got a huge hit there by Mydroth and a diving attempt. And it doesn't look like, just send him home. And Hill comes home and scores there, and that puts the Sox up early. Obviously, not the outcome the Sox would end up having in this game because of the fact that they would lose this game 4-2. But we're looking forward to doing something better and a second game here. Obviously, Baltimore, we thought that Baltimore, I had a lot of question marks about Baltimore because they came out and we look at them and Sosa getting the other hit, Lenin Sosa. So seeing him get that hit, a little drop there down into shallow, medium center field there, and Mydroth came home to score. So obviously, these guys have a lot to work with. And we look at these teams and overall, it's fun to say that the Sox are playing at a competitive level, but unfortunately, the one thing is we talk about them, and obviously they're not where they need to be. It's just they definitely can use a little bit of improvement, but it comes over time. We're still very young into the season,
and we got a very young team as well. Besides Benintendi, which if he just gets off this team, that'd be kind of nice.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
But
he was a big signing for a reason, though. You have to understand that. Like
at the time, it's a completely different team. I don't even think there's not even one player left from that team that's on this team.
The 2021 team, RIP. That was.
I think the only one left is what the heck's his name? It's not Acuna. Hold on.
From the 21 team.
Yeah, he wasn't necessarily on the team, but he was. They brought him in and out. Okay, he's not playing today. I can't think of his name right now. Sosa, yeah.
No, yeah, Lenin Sosa. I showed him in the highlight clip that we played. So
yeah, Sosa was like the only one I think from that 2021 team that's left. Yeah, and he wasn't even on the team. He was just kind of like brought in from AAA.
I think he had a home run in one of the games there against Houston when they were in that divisional game, I believe. I want to say it was him.
I don't think so.
I could have swore because I remember watching that game. It was a live game on Fox too, which was awesome. And when was the last time you saw the White Sox on Fox on a national telecast?
Honestly, 2023 maybe.
Right. It's just they're not as obviously with their record and all that they weren't going to be shown as much, but the Sox do have some work cut out for them. Hopefully they get the job done there. First pitch is at 1:10 p.m. So obviously we're looking forward to seeing that.
But Sox?
I am taking the Sox. I think the Sox get their get back today, and I think they tie up the series. And obviously, not tie up the series because they already played their game on Monday as well. But we look at them. If they win it, they just get a win in the series. And
I'll take it. A win's a win.
Baltimore's already won the series technically, though. They won the first 2 games, 2-1, and I didn't realize that they played on Monday. That's because of my wisdom teeth. That's how much I'm not thinking about it. So
there's no crying in baseball. All right, let's switch over.
All right, switch it. But no, we're excited. Hopefully the Sox can pull one out, bring their record closer to 500. But let's transition and talk about these Cubs because we know that the Cubs obviously have a lot that's going on with them too. And I know that they have some things that are just in the middle. Obviously, they got a big win yesterday over the Tampa Bay Rays, and obviously they're finishing up their game with the Rays later on today. And they have, or actually, did they play later today? I think they do. Yeah, they do. They play at 5:40 today. I wanted to make sure it was a 5:40 game time. I thought they were already on. But so the Cubs, I mean, realistically, 5-6 start for a team that I thought had potential to be a lot better than that. I think it's been an up and down year for them. And we talk about it yesterday. We see the highlights from PCA. And overall, it's just they get a 9-2 win yesterday, X. And I mean, what do you think overall? They have a couple guys that can go out and they can do their thing. And obviously, the scoring came in a lot of different ways. But what do you think overall? You see some of these things. I mean,
honestly, I'm still. I'm not even a Cubs fan, but I will say that going into this season, I mean, the talk and hype is always around Chicago baseball around this time of year, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think when it comes down to the players they have, I just don't think they're performing the way they should be. I mean, Pete Crow Armstrong has gotten paid. I don't know where he's at. Dansby Swanson, he's still there. And where's Swanson at? Bush, Horner. I think Horner was the one that just got paid as well, right?
Yeah, they paid him earlier in the offseason.
Horner just got paid as well. I mean, you have all these players that have gotten paid and they're just not hitting. I mean, like last year.
To be fair, yeah, it's like to start the season. I know Nico's batting .297, so like you're gonna get production from your quality players, and overall, it's just like another thing where the Cubs are gonna have a streaky couple of games, and then they're gonna have a streaky couple of great wins. So overall, I mean, PCA, obviously for the money you signed him to, he has a home run last night. He did his job. But again, we talk about this all the time. We talked about it a lot when we were at the Illinois Media School. Like, it's just about consistency with these teams. And overall, I mean, we know that there's a lot of other things that could go right for this team and things that can go wrong. And I know the signing of Alex Bregman was huge, and a lot of things talk about Cubs fans saying, hey, we're going to be the better Chicago team. But as it stands right now, I would say both teams are even, you would think.
Both teams are even. And I think the interesting part about this is I was talking to a coworker of mine earlier, and we were both talking about this. And it's just like the Sox are basically one game apart from the Cubs, right? I mean, they have one more loss than the Cubs
right.
As of right now. I mean, 2 or 3 days ago, they have had the same record. But I mean, like, the Cubs have something that is every year going for the Chicago Cubs. It's like, all right, we're going to win it all this year. And I don't think that's going to be the case this season. I think they will have their hot streak. They always have a heat streak around June, July. And then they kind of cool off in August. So I think they're going to be fine. They'll make a playoff push. I think the Sox are going to make a push maybe for the wild card, but that just depends on how the pitching goes in the bullpen at the end of the day.
Right. No, you hit it spot on. And obviously for some stats, just to give you guys a little rundown for the stats here, obviously I have them pulled up right in front of me with the Cubs. Your home run leaders so far are Ian Happ with 4 to start the year, as well as 7 RBIs. He leads in that category. On-base percentage for Nico is .438 and 11 hits for Nico, and the team high in batting average at .297. So in 43 at-bats for Pete, as we talked about, for him getting paid, he has 11 hits, he has 8 runs, 1 double, and he has 1 home run. And I know the season just started, but that's obviously going to go up, and hopefully he can end up. Realistically, I could see Pete finishing with a 30 home run season if he tries to just step it up here in the next month. He's got to hit a home run every couple games, realistically, for that to be an option. But I think the Cubs have an opportunity to jump out. Because, again, what was the one thing we said? We thought that the biggest thing was going to be them and the Brewers competing in the NL Central. You would think.
It's been like that for the past 2-3 seasons, yeah.
Right, but right now, as we start the season, the Cubs are last in the Central. The Reds are 8-3. The Brewers are 8-3, and the Pirates, who obviously we could talk about them in a second too, they just signed their number one overall prospect, Connor Griffin, to a 9-year deal, and he looks like an absolute stud, and he's going to flourish in that system. So hopefully Pittsburgh can get some winning ways. They are 7-4 to start the year, but Pittsburgh is in third at 7-4. St. Louis is 6-5. So the Central right now to start, it is a dogfight, and the Cubs obviously at 5-6. Not really setting a precedent for what you want. But we talked about the White Sox, and there's Detroit, who we thought Detroit was going to win their entire we thought they were going to win the AL Central last year, and Detroit's tied with the Sox right now at 4-7.
I mean, they do have that experience. I mean, was it this past season or the year before where they had that playoff push? I think it was the year before, right?
Detroit?
Yeah.
I think, yeah, they got knocked out. I think they get knocked out by Cleveland? No. Who did Detroit get? I'm trying to remember who Detroit got knocked out by a couple of years ago. Wasn't the Yankees. I don't remember who it was. I'm blanking on it. I'll come back to it. But the Central I mean, Kansas City starting off at 5-6. Minnesota's 5-6. The only team with a winning record is Cleveland right now at 7-5. So it's a very catchable division.
Cleveland has always been that team that's going to like, for some reason, Cleveland has been that team for the past 15, 20 years where they're just always going to be there, and they're always going to just fight no matter what.
I mean, they had an opportunity at a World Series a couple of years ago.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, Sox fans hate the Twins because the Twins have always had their number, but the Twins haven't been really relevant the past 5-6 seasons. Yes, they made a wild card a couple years ago, but nothing to be scared of. I think it's early. I'm gonna go with the Tigers are gonna win this division no matter what. I think Tigers are gonna be there. Then you probably have Cleveland, and then maybe Sox, Twins, Royals, depending on that lineup right there.
Yeah, no, I mean you hit it spot on, and I love that you were able to put that out there and mention that. And I mean, we're gonna see as this goes on here, like what do we think of overall? Do the Cubs come back into it? And can they get a streak where they win maybe 4 or 5 games in a row? And can they just keep the consistency up? And can the Sox do that? So you guys obviously let us know on all of our social media networks and coverage. What do you think? Who's going to have the better record at the end of the season? And what are you most looking forward to as the season winds on here? So we could transition here, X, and we could talk a little bit about a couple things here at the end. I'm going to adjust this real quick on the MacBook. So let's try to come up here. But let's talk about one of the biggest things, and that is the Bulls, because we didn't really touch on them the last couple weeks. I know we might have if we did, it was very, very minuscule. But we got the news a couple days ago, I believe it was Sunday or Monday, that they fired general manager Arturas Karnisovas, and they fired general manager or basketball operations, president of basketball operations, Arturas Karnisovas, and general manager Mark Eversley. So the Bulls are going to be in a full-on rebuild, which it seems like they've been in for like the last 6 years, to be honest. These play-in tournaments are not cutting it, but the Reinsdorfs already made it very clear that whoever comes into the Bulls front office and all that has to be on board with Billy Donovan. Do you agree with that decision?
No, I do not. I mean, being a Chicago-based sports show, I will say that we had the same problem with the Bears 3, 4, or 5. Was it 4 or 5? When was Khalil Mack traded? Was that 24?
To the Bears?
No, Khalil Mack traded away to
the Chargers. Yeah. That was, I want to say, off season of 23, 22.
Okay. So, I mean, like, right then and there, it's literally what the Chicago Bears were back then. I think right now you got to just start off blank, right? You cannot bring in this coach. Billy Donovan isn't a bad coach. He's not. I mean, he has his wins.
He's won a couple national titles at Florida as a college coach.
Oh yeah, I mean, he showed that he can coach in this league. I just think that he's just not the right coach for the Bulls. I mean, like, how are you gonna have someone come in here and be like, all right, we want you to build this thing up, and we want you to make us relevant again. But at the end of the day, we want this coach no matter what. I mean, you can't tie a general manager to this coach. It makes absolutely no sense. He has the final say in all of it. I don't get that part at all.
Yeah. No, I mean, we take a look here. The Bulls CEO and team president Michael Reinsdorf outlined on Tuesday the qualities he's looking for in a head of basketball operations, including retaining Billy Donovan as head coach. If I interview someone and they're not sold on Billy, they're not sold on a Hall of Fame coach, and they're not sold on a guy who's won championship in college or who's gone deep in the playoffs with Oklahoma City. Well, Billy, I love you to death, but have you gone deep with this Bulls team? We've had 3 play-in tournament exits to the Miami Heat the last 3 years. So overall, I think we have to look at it as I am not going to sit here and trash Billy Donovan for everything that he is going to do, because he obviously has tried to right a ship. But obviously the firing of Karnisovas and Mark Eversley after 6 years with both of them at the helm of the Bulls. So I'm interested to see what they did and who they go out and get, because obviously the front office just was not cutting it. The Bulls, what was their biggest signing the last 5 years? It's probably DeMar DeRozan.
And that was, I think
18.
That was long enough.
Off season of 18 or 19, I believe. Him and Levine as a duo, and then when Lonzo Ball came in before he got injured, mind you, at one point they were the number 1 seed in the East.
I remember that. I was
We were
very
talking about
surprised.
that quite a bit. But it's overall, it is disappointing to talk about, because, I mean, they ended their 7-game skid last night. And obviously we have a little quote here from Patrick Williams. And he was, after the game, he was talking with, let me go on to here. It was on Shia Ascent. I actually pulled it up. But Casey Johnson, and he was with the sideline, and he mentioned, it's no secret there's a lot going on outside the 4 lines here, so we just tried to focus on the game and focus on basketball. So I understand those guys are trying to make something out of nothing in a season that's obviously lost. Right now, the Bulls, as it stands, they're eliminated from playoff contention at 30-49. So realistically, I'll ask you this. I know there's a bunch of names out there, and we don't know, obviously, until we find out in the news who's going to be there, but who would you like to see possibly come into the Bulls front office?
You know, it's funny. I was talking to my buddy yesterday about this, and this is like probably a Hail Mary and probably like very slim to none chance. But what you thought about like Dan Hurley?
See, my issue with that is if he ever did that, it would have to be a head coaching job. It would have to be the head coaching job. I don't see Dan Hurley leaving to be a general manager. Like, because, yes, Dan Hurley can assemble a team. He can put a team together. And obviously he's proven that by winning with UConn the last couple of years. I mean, but you're talking about a group. You need a duo. You need a general manager, and you need a president of basketball operations. So, I mean, just thinking about it, I mean, you obviously had Michael Jordan, who in charge of the Hornets, and obviously we saw the job he's done. And Charlotte actually looks great this year, even though I don't believe it's him at the helm, though.
He doesn't own it anymore.
Yeah, right.
Or at least he doesn't own majority of it.
It's just, no, he doesn't.
Either way.
I don't believe so. It's just, to me, Dan Hurley got offered the head coaching job for the Lakers before J.J. Redick took it. And he chose to stay at UConn.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that's LeBron's in the back half of his career. I mean,
but you have Luka, top 3 player in the world.
Yeah, but that was before Luka came into the picture.
Yeah, true. I mean, that was with Anthony Davis, and
injury prone.
Yeah, at this thing made of glass.
Fine. I was thinking about that, and I'm like, that I think it makes sense. I mean, you got a lot of like young talent that's gonna be coming up, and who wouldn't want to play for Dan Hurley? I mean, like, the fact that, you know, obviously you're not playing for him, but I mean, like, you know what he can do, and you know how much love he has for the game and how much dedication he has for it, and who wouldn't want to play for someone like that? I mean, that's the whole point here. I want someone that's dedicated and wants to win for the city and just win basketball. And if we're not and if you really don't think there's a chance, which probably there's no chance, what about Golden State's old general manager?
Myers?
Yeah, I heard
Bob Myers?
I heard he was interested in it, but then as soon as the Billy Donovan quote came out, it sounds like a lot of people are shying away from the job now.
It's And I don't want to point the finger at people and all that stuff here, but the Bulls should be seen as one of the more iconic franchises in the last decade. I know you talk about the 90s and with Jordan and the three-peat and then another three-peat and with how dominant they were, but that was the 90s. And I mean, I know there was a little shining light of hope when they made the playoffs in 2016 and you had Derrick Rose as the youngest rookie in NBA history until he obviously tore his ACL. But like the Bulls more recently, other than I believe it was the first round exit a few years back to like the Bucks. They really haven't been a perennial team in the NBA that people are talking about as like a household name. Yes, you knew them for having good players. DeRozan, Levine, Vucevic for a while there was obviously one of the biggest signings that they had. But it's just, I don't know who's going to come and try to take over this team now because the Bulls have not been that good in, you could argue, half a century.
They've been good, but they haven't
They've been
been
good, but
better
they're not
than
great.
good.
They're not
Yes,
great.
correct. I mean, the DeRozan run was interesting, and that's literally like the only relevance they have had. I mean, then what you get playing tournament exit, playing tournament exit, playing tournament. You make it past the playing tournament, and then you make it to the last spot, and then you lose against Atlanta. I think 2 years in a row or something like that. I mean, it's just like, I think it was Miami.
Yeah,
And
you lose to
Atlanta.
Miami in the play-in tournament in the
And
last 2
so
years.
I
Yeah.
mean, and then you get like the 7th round pick for like a consecutive like 3, 4, 5 seasons in a row. I mean, it's good that they finally surpassed of making it into the play on because you need some picks and you need something, man. And right now they're, I mean, at least you're so bad that there's no way of getting any worse than this, or maybe there
Right.
is, but it can't get any worse.
Absolutely. I mean, again, I think that too. I mean, they blew it up at the deadline. Obviously, they traded a lot of their players. Vucevic went to Boston, and then obviously they got Simons. Simons really didn't do much. Obviously, there was the whole situation with Jaden Ivey, and obviously the Bulls cutting him with some remarks that he made over his Instagram Live and all that. So, I mean, not that he would have made the biggest difference in the world, but trading away a couple of key pieces. Kobe White going to Charlotte. Obviously, he went to school at UNC, so he's not far from there. But they're going in a different direction. And like you talked about, I know the Reinsdorf son said that he has to be. They're looking in the interview process. Anyone who goes has to be on board with the decision to go with Billy Donovan. And I'm not sitting here and saying everything that should be, but Billy Donovan's definitely got his stuff cut out for him, and this is going to be his prove-it year coming up here, I think. I believe that this is the year that if there's nothing else, you gotta fire him after this next season. There's just no excuse beyond that, I think.
No, I agree. I think not even fire him, just let him go. I think you should let him go.
Yeah.
I don't think you bring him in. I mean, that's like when the Bears kept Matt Nagy for a year, or not Matt Nagy. Was it Matt Nagy? Did they keep Matt? Was Matt Nagy kept?
The Bears did keep Nagy for a little bit, yeah. Because everyone was saying fire Nagy after like the playoff collapse and stuff in 18, but I mean,
I just start fresh, man. There's absolutely no reason not to start off fresh.
right.
That's all I'm saying.
I mean, some teams love blowing it up. You got to start from scratch somewhere. So, again, you guys let us know on all of our networks who do you think should be the next general manager and the head of basketball operations for the Bulls. I know there's a handful of names out there, and obviously a good duo needs to go in shape to make it happen for this team. So I'm really hoping that they can get something together here quickly, and obviously the offseason coming up, and a lot of question marks about who's going to be on the roster next season. But really quick before we transition to our last segment, I know we have to touch on it too because it was another thing in news. For the Sky, I know they traded away one of their draft picks a couple years ago, Angel Reese. Overall, I watched probably a grand total of 5 Sky games in my tenure as watching women's basketball. Now, I am not hating on Angel Reese, but she was trading, a 2028 first-round pick to the Sky and a 2027 first-round pick for two-time All-Star and a second-round swap right pick in 2028. Angel Reese, great player. She got a lot of her own rebounds, but
Oh, that's
I
crazy.
again, I don't know if the Sky were fed up with her, or maybe they just wanted to go in a different direction.
I think a little bit of
But
both.
yeah, I mean, just touching on that, it just shows that yes, the teams agreed to it.
She
So
wasn't Caitlin Clark. That's all I'm saying. Or Paige Buckner.
absolutely, Paige Beckers.
Is it Beckers or is it
It's
Buckner?
Beckers. It's Beckers.
Beckers.
If you see
Paige
how her name's
Beckers.
spelled, it's pronounced
Paige
Beckers.
Beckers. I'm sorry. I love you.
Oh my god! But yeah, no, she'll have a great career in Atlanta, hopefully, and maybe she turns into an all-star caliber player that doesn't get 13 rebounds a game. But we'll
Wait
see.
and see. Yep. Wait and see. Chicago Sky.
To be
basketball
fun. But
coming up.
shout out Angel Reese. New beginnings with the Atlanta Dream. Now we transition to our last segment here of the show. And that is one of the biggest talking points because I know we talked a little bit about it last week as well, but we're on the talk of the Bears because I know they were supposed to have a decision made by early summer. And right now, as it stands, the Bears, they have the option and it's two states. You either got the Hammond location or you have Arlington Heights. Now, we've talked about this before, and I know we don't have to touch on it exactly like we did last week, but we could hit at it a little. Where do you want to see them play? And what do you think is going to be better for not only the Chicagoland people, but for the Bears overall as a team?
So, I mean, are we going to talk about both locations, or are we saying where we
could talk about both. Here's the thing. I'll ask you, I'll give you a second question. Or phrase it for me like this. Tell me about both locations. I know obviously you might have a little bit more of the knowledge on both locations, and I do as well, so I can give my opinion after you. But tell me a little bit about both locations and tell me overall then what you think the better option would be for them.
Obviously, what I personally think is that obviously right now they're playing Soldier Field on Lakefront, correct? Obviously, both they're interested in is Arlington Heights, which is an old racetrack location, which they tore down, by the way, and haven't.
Oh yeah, they tore it down a couple years.
Yeah, they've been built on there in a couple years, which is absolutely ridiculous. You also have the location, which has gotten the most heat lately, and by heat I mean like most attention, is Northwest Indiana, which is they had 3 locations, I believe, and they decided to pick. Is it Portage, Indiana? Is that where they picked?
Hammond.
Okay.
The stadium site
Portage,
is
right?
technically in Hammond. It would be in Hammond.
Okay.
By Wolf Lake. It's by Wolf Lake.
Okay. I like the location because it's right out the lake. You see the skyline. You kind of still feel Chicago a little bit. That's what I like. I don't. One thing I don't like from there is you can see like the warehouses and all the
the refineries and all that.
Yeah. I don't know how you can really cover that up. I don't know. Maybe they have an idea of doing that. I don't. But I believe they have an Amtrak that goes straight through there, or if not, they're looking to build an Amtrak.
The Amtrak runs right near there, but I'm sure they would obviously add, like we talked about last week, they would add metro lines and certain forms of transportation to help out with that kind of thing, getting from the city or the other suburbs.
Yeah, and then Arlington Heights is obviously
right off a metro stop.
Right off a metro stop. I mean, they were looking to upgrade it and whatever. They're looking to. The interesting thing about the location between Arlington and Chicago, or excuse me, Arlington and Indiana, it seems like Arlington's more of like they're looking to build properties on there, not just like make a Chicago Bears town. They're trying to make like a little city in its own. It's kind of
like a Wrigleyville essentially.
Yeah, but they're also trying to make apartment condos and complexes. So like, so like
building like a neighborhood based around.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's kind of weird. I'm kind of cool with just like a whole football like little area where like bars and like football in general. I don't know why you get to have people. I get the revenue aspect of it, but that's kind of weird to me. I don't like Arlington Heights. I know you do. It's closer to you. It's actually closer to me, but I prefer Indiana. I think it makes the most sense logistically speaking. And
I mean, I can't say that I hate the Indiana idea either because number one, we have to understand it will be a lot cheaper for them to go to Indiana than it would be for them to build their stadium in Illinois. That's just getting one part of it out of the way. The state legislature and all that stuff in Indiana. Indiana's offering to pay for it, whereas like if something goes on in Illinois, you know it's going to cost double in the state of Illinois. Now, that's number one. Number two, I'm going to read you an article from Bleacher Nation, and this guy who did the article, his name is Louis Medina, and they were talking about his journey, and now he was in the interview with Adam Schefter. The Bears will decide where to build their new stadium in the next few weeks, and if Illinois doesn't pass legislation for Arlington Heights, sources believe the Bears are likely to be Indiana bound. Two proposed sites in Chicago are not considered feasible next to Soldier Field for political reasons, and the land known as Michael Reese was evaluated and rejected by the NFL and the Bears. So, I think that them going to Indiana wouldn't be horrible. I think at the same time, like, it's just for a Chicago-based team, not saying that the place in Indiana isn't Chicago-based. It's 20, 30 miles away. It's super close. It's very close, actually. But I would like for them to only stay in Illinois because of that reason, because it's supposed to be an Illinois sports team. Arlington Heights, you get easy access to the city. You can still get easy access to the city in Indiana, but all the hype around this whole time when Bears CEO Kevin Warren came up there was, what's the talk about the stadium? Are they going to stay in Chicago or are they going to go out to Arlington Heights? Indiana sort of came out of left field in the last couple months. So to me, I think the biggest thing is if they are Indiana bound, you're going to have to really develop that area because Wolf Lake, like we talked about, other than the refineries and Whiting being around there, there's really not much else in that town. Whereas Arlington Heights would be a lot easier to be developed because of how big it is and what's already around there and what you could already add to the stadium area around Arlington Heights, you would think.
I get what you're saying, but I mean, both concepts they do have like building up the land around it, so I don't think there's a problem of it if they're going to be building hotels or bars, like a little bear area and whatever, bear cave, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I either way, both are going to have the same aspects in each side of it, but I think obviously Arlington Heights is basically like a blank canvas. I mean, it's huge the amount of land they have over there. Matter of fact, they can build what they want to build there, and they're gonna sell off like half the land anyway. So, but I think they bought that land specifically to build on it. I just can't see them buying the land and just being like, all right, we don't want this land anymore, and they're gonna sell it off. Like, I don't really know how that's gonna work. But coming down to it, it's all political. I prefer Indiana. You prefer Arlington Heights, and
Right. I mean,
obviously I want them to stay in Illinois, but I want them to stay in Chicago. I don't want them to stay in Illinois. I want them to stay in the city limits. But that seems like it's not going to happen at all.
I mean, it says that as of a month ago, the Bears Stadium bill in Chicago's $630 million Soldier Field plan. So, I mean, to me, the stadium cost, I believe, if they were in Arlington Heights, it'd be something like $2 billion. I mean, it would be very expensive. Like, and is the Illinois taxpayers going to want to pay for all that? I don't think so. Like,
No.
we know that the state has like their own agenda when it comes to that kind of stuff. I think there's a lot of good things that go into Indiana and like trying to make Indiana a better location. But we're going to have to see here in the next couple of weeks, like what legislature decides and what do we think the general public would like better. Because I've gotten mixed reactions from like my family about should they go to Indiana? Should they go to Arlington?
Everybody I spoke to said they prefer Arlington. I think that me and someone else is the only person I know that says they would like them to go to Indiana. I just think it just makes more sense. I like how you can see the skyline in the background. I mean, what's that aerial view gonna be when it's like they're in Arlington Heights? Nothing. I mean, there's nothing around Arlington Heights. It's just like land.
Yeah,
it's the suburbs.
Yeah, right. That's obviously Arlington Heights is close to like O'Hare in a sense. It's close to Schaumburg, which is another big town, and I mean it is closer to the city. So I mean there is some of those incentives of building in that area, but I think overall a little can go a long way. We're going to see what happens here in the next couple weeks with the decision making with the lawmakers, but obviously you guys let us know too on all of our social media networks what you think the Bears should do, because obviously there's a lot of split decision making. But at the end of it, there's just a lot of question marks still. And I know we're obviously going to have to wait a couple weeks to hear a decision, but I'm hoping that whatever happens, the Bears just making a bomb stadium of it. And they don't just host the ability for an indoor stadium to host maybe a Super Bowl. They can host college national championship Final Four games, or just big name events to help bring more revenue to like the Chicago area, and just being a more known name instead of having like games at the United Center or just games overall at Wrigley Field and stuff. Like just adding on to it, you would think.
This is kind of like it's on subject on par, but I went to the Sox game the other day, and I was like, I left with a couple of my buddies. The Sox won that game, and the Sox are looking to move as well. I mean, if you're in the Chicagoland, you know the Sox are looking to move into the city, more like closer to Chinatown, I guess you can say.
Oh yeah, dude. Like in reality, it's probably 5 blocks north of their current stadium right now on 35th Street. Like it's actually pretty close.
It's I want to say like maybe 10 minutes because
It's past Chinatown. It's literally just past Chinatown.
Yeah, you're closer into like the inner city almost. And
you're in the Bronzeville neighborhood almost. Well,
yeah.
No, you're past Bronzeville,
no.
I would say.
But anyways, the reason I'm bringing this up is I'm saying, I mean, if the Sox can make a deal like that, why doesn't the Bears look to build on Sox Park? I mean, you got the land there, you got parking. It's not a bad location. You got the red line there. You got the 290 right there.
Yeah, LaSalle Street Station's right there too. I mean, they're all very close. It's just
I know it's not gonna happen, but it's the idea of it. Like, you know.
Well, how much again with that? When we talk about like paying and like lawmaker stuff and like owners, what do you think the amount Reinsdorf's gonna want to contribute to something like that? Or
well, Reinsdorf, once they get rid of once they move or look to build somewhere else, Reinsdorf doesn't care about their land if he's still around.
Right. I mean, obviously he has sons and all that, but we'll see who obviously takes ownership of that eventually. I mean, their stadium right now, I don't think it's bad. I mean, like I said, we talk about a lot of the bad things with like, I would much rather have their stadium facing the city than having it face out towards the highway.
Everyone does.
Everyone does.
But you know the reason why it's like that, right?
To be honest with you, I don't.
It's like that because the original Comiskey Park used to be facing east towards the city, and the original home plate was off of 35th and Shield. So they wanted to keep it like that. So the home plate is still on 35th and Shield. It's just facing west or south. Is it south?
Yeah. Thank you for informing me, because as a fan, I did not know that. That blew my mind. But again, you guys obviously let us know what you think the Sox should do. What do you think the Bears are going to end up doing? Anything in the Chicago sports world, and obviously any sporting stuff going on. X, do you have anything else to tap on here before we wrap things up?
No, I think we hit everything that we needed to hit.
Fantastic, my friend. Well, everybody,
another great time.
That is going to do it here for this week's show. Obviously, we didn't have he joined us very shortly, so we're probably going to have some questions about him in the future if he's going to be still on board with us, or we get someone else to join our show. But thank you guys, as always, for joining us, as well as listening to our show, because obviously we're trying to expand and improve each week here. But X, another phenomenal show, and obviously we're looking forward to having another good one next week, you would think.
Definitely can't wait.
Alrighty. And there we have it, everyone. That's going to do it for this week's episode here of the Between the Lines Sports Show here on the Prime Coverage Sports Network. We will see you guys all right here next week.